In late September 2025, Chicago awoke to an unprecedented federal operation, Operation Midway Blitz, a coalition of federal agencies aimed to dismantle the Sinaloa and CJNG cartels. Thousands of warrants targeted key figures in these criminal networks. The operation was the result of extensive intelligence gathering. Residents witnessed tactical teams and helicopters as the city became a battleground. The goal was to cripple the cartel's command structures and sever drug supply lines. Despite the risks, federal agencies believed a decisive response was necessary. This was more than arrests. It was a strategic strike against entrenched criminal power. The operation aimed to protect Chicago's safety and security. Chicago's strategic location made it a prime target for drug cartels. The city's infrastructure facilitated the movement of drugs across the Midwest. Federal officials tracked the growing influence of Mexican cartels for years. The Sinaloa and CJNG cartels established permanent bases, forming alliances with local gangs. This alliance increased violence and sophistication in Chicago's criminal landscape. The cartels integrated into the local economy, laundering money through businesses. The situation reached a tipping point, threatening national security. The federal government saw a coordinated intervention as the only solution. The goal was to disrupt cartel operations and reclaim the city. The Sinaloa and CJNG cartels waged a bloody war for control of Chicago. What began as a distant conflict in Mexico soon spilled over into the heart of the city, transforming neighborhoods and reshaping the lives of countless residents. The violence was not just a headline, it was a daily reality for many Chicagoans, as the cartels fought for dominance over lucrative drug routes and territory. The Sinaloa cartel had long established networks, built over decades through corruption, intimidation, and strategic alliances. Their influence stretched from the border to the streets of Chicago, allowing them to move massive quantities of drugs with alarming efficiency. These networks were deeply embedded, making them difficult to uproot. Meanwhile, CJNG used violence to gain ground, launching brutal attacks on rivals and anyone who stood in their way. Their tactics were ruthless, often leaving entire communities living in fear. The escalation of violence was a deliberate strategy to destabilize existing power structures and seize control. This rivalry fueled street-level violence, impacting innocent civilians who found themselves caught in the crossfire. Families mourned, lost loved ones, and neighborhoods struggled to cope with the constant threat of shootings and drug-related crime. The human cost was staggering, with trauma rippling through entire communities. Investigators faced the challenge of dismantling a complex web of cartel operations. Each arrest or drug seizure was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. The cartels adapted quickly, using encrypted communications and constantly shifting tactics to stay ahead of law enforcement. The cartels operated through a cellular structure, making them resilient to infiltration. Each cell functioned independently, so even if one was taken down, the rest could continue operating. This decentralized approach made it nearly impossible to eliminate the organizations entirely. Fentanyl was the primary commodity, driving profits and overdose deaths. The synthetic opioid was cheap to produce, easy to transport, and incredibly potent. Just a few milligrams could be fatal. Its spread led to a surge in overdoses, overwhelming hospitals, and devastating families across Chicago. The cartels smuggled fentanyl into Chicago, using a variety of methods, from hidden compartments in vehicles to sophisticated shipping operations. Each successful shipment meant more drugs on the streets, further exacerbating a public health crisis that showed no signs of slowing down. Federal agencies saw the cartel's activities as a direct assault on American lives and national security. The scale of the problem demanded a coordinated response, bringing together local, state, and federal resources in an unprecedented effort to push back against the cartel's reach. The operation aimed to target key nodes across the cartel network, disrupting supply chains and dismantling leadership structures. Every raid, every arrest, was a step toward reclaiming the city from the grip of organized crime. Law enforcement sought to dismantle the cartel's infrastructure and save lives, knowing that every action could mean fewer drugs on the streets, and fewer families torn apart by addiction and violence. The focus was on disrupting the cartel's operations and reducing violence, but the battle was far from over. For Chicago, the fight against the cartels was not just about law enforcement, it was about protecting communities, restoring hope, and breaking the cycle of crime and despair. Planning for Operation Midway Blitz began over a year before execution. The operation was not just a response to rising cartel activity, but a meticulously orchestrated campaign that demanded patience, secrecy, and unwavering attention to detail. Every step was mapped out, every contingency considered, and every agency brought together under a unified vision. The FBI led intelligence analysis, mapping cartel networks with advanced surveillance. Their analysts pored over thousands of hours of footage, intercepted communications, and digital breadcrumbs, piecing together the sprawling web of criminal activity that stretched across Chicago and beyond. The DEA identified key players in drug trafficking. Their expertise in narcotics investigations allowed them to pinpoint the most influential traffickers, suppliers, and distributors, building detailed profiles that would later guide tactical teams. ICE traced transnational connections and immigration violations. By following the movement of suspects across borders, they uncovered hidden links between local operatives and international cartel leaders, exposing the true scale of the operation. A central command center coordinated efforts among agencies. Here, representatives from each department worked side by side, sharing intelligence in real time and adapting strategies as new information emerged. Analysts connected data to create detailed charts of cartel interactions. These visual maps revealed not only the hierarchy of the organizations, but also the subtle alliances and rivalries that could be exploited. Targets were vetted, assessing risks and planning synchronized raids. Each suspect was evaluated for threat level, escape risk, and potential for violence, ensuring that every move was calculated and coordinated. The first wave aimed to decapitate cartel leadership. By striking at dawn, tactical teams hoped to catch kingpins off guard, disrupting command structures before they could react. Over 25,000 officers were trained and housed securely for the operation. Specialized training sessions prepared them for the unique challenges of urban raids, while secure accommodations kept their presence hidden from prying eyes. Secrecy was paramount to prevent leaks and ensure success. Only a select few knew the full scope of the plan, and strict protocols were enforced to protect operational integrity. The operation required immense logistical coordination across Chicago. Convoys, equipment, and personnel had to be moved with precision, often under the cover of darkness to avoid tipping off targets. The goal was to execute a precise and overwhelming strike against the cartels, one that would send shockwaves through their ranks and reclaim the city's streets for its citizens. At 4 a.m., tactical teams moved into position across Chicago. The city was still asleep, unaware of the massive operation about to unfold. These teams had been meticulously planning for weeks, gathering intelligence and mapping out their targets. The element of surprise was crucial to ensure the success of the raids. Armored vehicles and helicopters provided support and real-time intelligence. The helicopters hovered above, offering a bird's-eye view of the unfolding events, while the armored vehicles ensured the safety of the officers on the ground. This coordination between air and ground units was essential for maintaining control and responding to any unexpected developments. Teams used breaching charges and flashbang grenades to enter targets. These tools were vital for disorienting suspects and gaining quick entry. The loud bangs and bright flashes created moments of confusion, giving the officers the upper hand as they stormed the buildings. Agents secured individuals and searched for evidence. Every room was meticulously combed through, with officers looking for anything that could link the suspects to the cartels. This included drugs, weapons, cash, and any documents that could provide further leads. Raids targeted residential and commercial properties linked to cartels. These locations had been under surveillance for months, with investigators piecing together the intricate web of cartel operations. From upscale apartments to hidden warehouses, no stone was left unturned. The operation spanned dozens of neighborhoods simultaneously. This widespread approach was designed to hit the cartels hard and fast, preventing them from regrouping or retaliating. Each neighborhood had its own unique challenges, but the coordinated effort ensured that all areas were covered. Suspects were subdued, and innocent bystanders were secured for safety. Ensuring the safety of civilians was a top priority. officers worked quickly to separate suspects from bystanders, minimizing the risk of harm and maintaining order amidst the chaos. Agents focused on controlling situations quickly to prevent harm. Clear commands and swift actions were essential in these high-stress environments. The goal was to neutralize threats and secure the area as efficiently as possible. The raids aimed to dismantle the cartel's infrastructure comprehensively. This meant not only arresting key figures, but also seizing their assets and disrupting their operations. Every piece of evidence collected was a step towards crippling the cartel's hold on the city. The operation's scale was breathtaking, impacting the entire city. From the bustling downtown to the quiet suburbs, the presence of law enforcement was felt everywhere. This massive show of force was a clear message to the cartels. Their reign of terror was coming to an end. The goal was to disrupt the cartel's operations and seize assets. Luxury cars, stacks of cash, and other ill-gotten gains were confiscated, hitting the cartels where it hurt the most, their wallets. This financial blow was a crucial part of the strategy to weaken their influence. The operation was a coordinated effort to reclaim Chicago from cartel control. Multiple agencies, including the FBI and ICE, worked together seamlessly, sharing information and resources. This collaboration was key to the operation's success. The focus was on minimizing risk while achieving maximum impact. Every move was carefully planned and executed, with the safety of officers and civilians in mind. The raids were a testament to the dedication and bravery of the law enforcement community. As dawn broke, the scale of Operation Midway Blitz became clear. Nearly 5,000 arrests were made, from high-level operatives to street dealers. The synchronized raids caught the network by surprise. Authorities seized 4 tons of fentanyl, a historic public health victory. Additional seizures included cocaine, heroin, meth, and firearms. Millions in cash and assets were confiscated, crippling cartel finances. The operation dealt a significant blow to the cartel's infrastructure. Federal charges were filed against thousands, including drug trafficking and money laundering. The operation was hailed as a success in dismantling cartel influence. The focus was on reducing drug supply and enhancing public safety. The operation sparked controversy and protests in Chicago. Community leaders criticized the aggressive tactics and ICE involvement. Protests highlighted the impact on immigrant communities and families. Local politicians condemned the federal approach as heavy-handed. President Trump's praise of the operation further inflamed tensions. The clash between federal and local authorities created a standoff. Concerns arose about resource allocation and potential vulnerabilities. The operation's impact on community relations and law enforcement was debated. Federal officials defended Operation Midway Blitz amid criticism. The Attorney General emphasized the operation's success in combating cartels. The DEA highlighted the danger of seized fentanyl and its impact. The FBI described the cartels as sophisticated criminal enterprises. ICE defended the use of force as necessary for safety. The federal government argued the operation addressed a national security issue. Officials suggested local policies had allowed cartels to thrive. The operation was presented as a necessary measure to restore order. Chicago grapples with the impact of Operation Midway Blitz. Crime reduction and disrupted drug supply offer hope for healing. However, community trust in law enforcement is damaged. The political rift between Chicago and the federal government widens. Nationally, the operation is seen as a potential model for future interventions. The success in seizing fentanyl influences policy discussions. The long-term impact remains uncertain, with potential for new violence. The operation changed Chicago's crime landscape, but its permanence is unclear. The city and nation await the next chapter in the war on drugs.